So, today we're going to dive into a battle that's happening right under the hood, a battle that is completely changing the car you're probably going to buy next. It's this invisible war being fought over automotive chips, and it's kicking off a critical chain reaction that's going to decide who wins and who loses in the auto industry.
So let me ask you this. What could a giant AI data center possibly have in common with the car you drive every day? I know, it sounds like a weird question, right? But the answer reveals this hidden conflict that's putting a ton of pressure on car makers. Stick with me, because this connection is probably not what you're thinking. To really get what's going on, you have to think of it like a domino effect. It all starts with a totally new way of building cars. That leads to new kinds of deals in the industry, which then requires new kinds of power chips. And here's the twist, it creates a completely unexpected problem at the very end. Let's trace it step by step. First up, we've got to talk about the biggest shift of all, this move to what everyone's calling the software-defined vehicle, or SDV. And look, this isn't just a simple upgrade, it is a complete rewrite of how cars are built from the ground up. And this slide, wow, it just lays it all out perfectly. The old way, you had dozens of these little mini computers called ECUs, each doing one tiny job. It was a huge mess of wires, and trying to update anything was a total nightmare. The new way, it centralizes all that thinking into just a few powerful computer brains. This makes the car way easier to build, and this is the key, you can update it over the air, just like your smartphone.
Now, this switchover is so huge and so complicated that automakers just can't afford to get it wrong. So here's the really important part. They're not just buying chips off a parts list anymore. They are locking themselves into these deep, long-term partnerships to guarantee they have the tech they need for years, essentially buying themselves some certainty in this crazy new world. And you can see this happening in the real world right here. You've got Volkswagen teaming up with Qualcomm for their next big architecture. A major US automaker is making a powerful Mobileye chip standard equipment just to combine functions and bring down costs. And then you see suppliers like ZF partnering up with Qualcomm to offer a whole ready-to-go system for other car makers. It's not about features anymore, it's all about the platform. So, the biggest thing to take away from this first part is that the role of the chip has totally changed. I mean, they've gone from being these simple little components on a list to being the architectural foundation, the very bedrock that the car's entire operating system is built on. All right, time for the next domino to fall. A brand new car brain needs a new kind of muscle to go with it, especially if we're talking about electric vehicles. And this is where a really special kind of power chip comes into play, made from a material called silicon carbide, or SiC for short. You know, it wasn't that long ago that silicon carbide, SiC, was this niche, super high-end tech. But just look at these numbers. It's already in 18% of EV inverters. That's the thing that controls power from the battery to the motor. See, SiC is just more efficient, which means you get more range. And as you can see, it is moving fast from just the fancy models into the mainstream. But here's the thing. As SIMIC gets more and more common, the game totally changes. It's not just about who can make the fastest, highest performing chip anymore. No, the battle now is about who can deliver huge quantities, do it reliably, and do it for less money. It's all about scale. And when we talk about scale, I mean, the numbers are just staggering. Take BYD, a massive player over in China. Their new production line can crank out 240,000 silicon carbide wafers every single year. You know, those are the big, shiny discs they cut the individual chips from. This is not some small experiment. This is full-on industrial production to make sure they have their own supply. But, you know, making the wafers is really only half the battle. You still have to package those things into modules that are actually ready to be put in a car. And you have companies like Basic Semiconductor aiming to produce 1 million of these car-ready modules a year. So what this tells you is the real challenge isn't just cooking up the raw material. It's turning it into a finished, reliable product at an absolutely enormous scale. Okay, so we've got the new central computer locked down. We've got the new power systems figured out. Everything should be good to go, right? Well, this is where we get to the final and honestly, the most surprising domino in this whole chain. A hidden bottleneck that pretty much nobody saw coming. And this is the kicker, the real constraint, the thing holding everything up. It isn't those fancy, high-profile computer chips. It's not even the advanced power chips. Nope, the one thing most likely to stop a brand new car from ever leaving the factory is something way more basic: memory. And this is where those AI data centers we talked about at the very beginning come roaring back into the picture. The AI boom has created this endless hunger for high-bandwidth memory,
For the companies that make memory, it's a gold rush. So what do? They're shifting all their production capacity to feed the AI beast. And the auto industry, which needs more and more memory for its smart cars, is suddenly getting squeezed out. So why should you care about any of this? This slide breaks it down perfectly. First up, cost. Higher memory prices directly translate to a higher sticker price on the car. Second, the features you get. If a car maker can't get enough memory, they might have to delay or even downgrade the cool stuff in your digital dashboard or the driver assist systems. And third, actually getting the car. Even if everything else is ready to go, a car absolutely cannot ship without its memory. That creates a huge risk for production delays. So when you put all these pieces together, the new car brains, the new power systems, and this hidden memory squeeze, you start to see that automakers are now basically fighting a complex war on 3 different fronts at the same time. Yeah, the main fight isn't about who has the fastest processor anymore, it's a systems war. Winning now depends on whether a company can lock down a stable, long-term supply of all 3 critical pieces: compute, power, and memory. If you're weak in just one of those areas, your whole strategy could come crashing down. So to bring it all home, let's just quickly recap. First, the software-defined vehicle has turned chip platforms into the absolute foundation of the car. Second, with power chips like SiC, the race is now all about cutting costs and scaling up production. And third, the AI boom is sucking away all the memory, creating a brand new, very real problem for the entire auto industry. And all of this leaves us with one big question. In this high-stakes 3-front war, the race is officially on. Which companies out there have the vision and the supply chain mastery to lock down all 3 of these critical resources and actually succeed in building the car of the future? The answer to that is going to decide who the leaders of the next generation of cars will be.